Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning back into another video. This one is going to be more of a macro outlook on the whole market. We're going to look less in depth on TA, but we're going to go more macro and kind of give you guys my thoughts on how to really capitalize on what's happening in this market. So kind of the bigger picture on Bitcoin. If you look and you kind of dive a little deeper into the Bitcoin charts, we're on a 5-minute candle right now. So these are all 5-minute candles. If you're looking at these are some insane price movements. I mean, you're seeing some 3% price moves from the bottom to the top of these candles, 3.6% in 5 minutes. I guess that one was started here. So what was this? 2.9%, almost 3%. And the same thing is happening in the bearish direction as well. So you're seeing a 2.25% there. And then in the middle of these, you're seeing some really interesting consolidation that's just kind of sitting around, not really knowing where to go. And so for me, looking at the Bitcoin charts right now, it's kind of in not necessarily a no trade zone because if you're going to go long on Bitcoin, pretty much any price tag below 20,000 in my point of view is probably a good trade. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and invest in Bitcoin right now. I'm not a financial advisor by any means. Don't take this as advice. This is just entertainment. But I mean, for me, getting into a trade in this consolidation that's happening, and it just happened again. We had another massive volume spike with a pretty healthy increase in price. Getting involved in here is pretty risky because you don't really know what is going to happen, which direction this massive increase is going to happen. And to me, this looks pretty coordinated. Somebody, in my personal opinion, I don't know for certain. I don't have much facts other than just looking at the charts and kind of doing a little research, digging around, seeing what other people think as well. But this is a ton of volume in a very, very short amount of time. And so it's either, a couple coordinated people who have a lot of money are dumping a lot of money into Bitcoin and it's rising the price. And then basically the bots and the high frequency traders are getting involved and they're, driving the price up as well. And then the same thing is happening on the profit taking side here. So, maybe some stop losses got triggered and then boom, everything just started selling on these different trading bots. So this makes it a little difficult for me to get involved in these, consolidation patterns because you don't really know. I mean, we've seen somewhat of consistency here. We saw the up and then we saw the selling volume come down here, and you're looking at the volume charts. Look at these. We're super low and then all of a sudden somebody just pumps this thing. And I think that a lot of the bots are getting involved and driving that price up as well. But then you're not seeing a ton of sell volume or decrease in price action from top to bottom, maybe 1% or so, some profit taking. Hard to say where we're going from here on a micro view. On a more macro view, let's bring it out to like the 4-hour. And whoa, that looks crazy. You can see this trend line I drew. Let's see, that would be from our kind of recent highs. April 3rd, April 4th, somewhere in there. So basically this is to me a nice support line. If we do end up breaking down, the reason I drew that is because I drew this Fibonacci retracement a while back, and from low to high here, I said that if we get past this 0.618 line, which was at about 8,200 or so, that would be a pretty definitive break and a trend reversal. It's that the 0.618 line is like the golden ratio in Fibonacci, and that is generally used by institutional traders as well as a trend reversal. And it can be an algo target in here depending on how you're looking at it. But we're sitting at about 8,200 right now, and it looks like we're testing it, and this is a very pivotal time in my opinion on what's happening. So we broke through it. It acted as support very briefly, and then we just fell right through it again. And we actually, we consolidated pretty nicely in this region between about 7,800 and where we are right now at 8,200. So, it's looking good to me. The volume has definitely dropped off a little bit. since we saw this super impulsive candle here, which brought us up about 18% in 4 hours, which was something we really, really needed to see. And that, to me, that really helped me go a little bit more bullish. We still have a possibility of failing this test here at the 0.618. And, you know, there is a possibility that we continue to go downward, but that's okay. That's okay in my opinion. If you look at some of these news articles that I was going to bring up, crypto hedge fund Pantera Capital, BTC, is highly likely to break 20,000 this year. So to me, you know, you can read these articles. I'll just kind of briefly get into it, but they basically say a hedge fund with a focus on cryptocurrency said in their April newsletter that Bitcoin's price of 6,500 was probably the low for cryptocurrency, and it was highly likely that BTC's price will reach above 20,000 this year, the Wall Street Journal reported. This happened on Friday the 13th. In December of last year, the CEO of Pantera Capital, Dan Moorhead, predicted that Bitcoin's price could drop by 50% before it reached new highs. And, you know, it was a 65% drop, as they say. And they say if you can buy something at 7,000, which was at 20,000 previously, it's probably a good trade. Now, that's not always true, and I definitely don't take that for gospel because, especially in the stock market, if you come from stock market investing, you know, companies' financials change, business deals change, proprietary information or patents expire, and businesses can change overnight, right? So, and the same thing can happen with Bitcoin. We're just investing in a sort of a different asset class. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring this to, in a more macro video, was because if you look at Bitcoin from the time of 20,000 to the time we hit our bottom at 6,000, nothing fundamentally really changed in Bitcoin. And as time goes on and as we fluctuate through these market cycles, things are changing in Bitcoin, right? Slowly but surely they're getting better. The Lightning Network is not launched yet. I guess it is being used on a couple sites worldwide. You know, the Lightning Network is definitely being tested, but these are good things, right? Like these are good signs for Bitcoin. There's nothing in the negative direction that is really happening. All the SEC sentiment, you know, the ETFs being brought back on the table for the SEC is all good news. So like this crash and this so-called bubble is really, in my opinion, that's why I'm okay if we do drop again. I'm not necessarily worried. Obviously, I want this thing to continue to rise, and a slower rise is actually completely okay with me because I'm using Profit Trailer and PT Feeder, and when we're in these sideways moves, man, you can make a killing with that. On that note, actually, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, if you're still watching, I will be doing an updated video on the Profit Trailer bag strategy that I'm using to get rid of some of those super deep DCA bags. And Profit Trailer is actually launching version 2 on Friday. It got pushed back to Friday, April 20th. So if you are still not involved in Profit Trailer, you don't have the bot yet. I'm not sure what the pricing structure is going to look like after April 20th. So I have links in the description if you're interested at all in checking that out. And that supports the channel for sure. So I appreciate that. And let me get into this one. So we were just talking about Bitcoin and how the bubble, you know, may have popped and all this stuff. Well, this guy, Robert Shiller, believes that Bitcoin might be a bubble, but that doesn't mean that it will burst and be gone forever, according to an interview on April 13th. So Shiller was currently a professor of economics at Yale. He referred to BTC as another example of a faddish human behavior. It's glorious. He says he's interested in Bitcoin as a sort of a bubble. It doesn't mean that it'll disappear and it'll burst forever. It may be with us for a while. Now, to some people, this might be considered maybe a little bit of FUD, but this is part, he basically says, according to Shiller, there's a part of the cryptocurrency fad or bubble that is political, as people don't trust their governments, may be tempted to invest. And then this is kind of interesting. On April 13th, Brian Kelly said in an interview that he supports investor Tim Draper's prediction that Bitcoin price could hit 250K by 2020. So this article ends off on a good note. But what I kind of want to get at is we definitely hit a little bit of a bubble. I mean, there's no question. We had a 65% retracement from the all-time highs. And so it's clear that we were in a bubble. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not in a bigger bubble, like a bigger picture, okay? This could look tiny compared to the bubble that we might see come, they say 2020, it'll be 250K. So look how tiny this is going to look if our price action goes from here up to 250K. That's the price action that you're seeing. The percentage increases is pretty wild. I mean, 100%, $250,000. Like, I mean, you're seeing this is a massive price move. And basically what I'm getting at is this bubble, I think, was probably caused by a fad, right? The technology, like we were just talking about, was not ready yet to support a $20,000 Bitcoin price. And it's certainly not ready yet to support a $250,000 Bitcoin price. But as the technology increases and people start to use blockchain in their everyday lives, when cell phones and wallets and, paper money kind of starts to disappear, and companies are openly using blockchain, like you can use the Brave browser, the BAT, basic attention token. When these things sort of start to hit the mainstream market and we start using blockchain as a utility, then I think starts the next cycle, the next big bubble. And now we know if you're involved in crypto right now, you know what a bubble looks like and you've been through the downtrend. And so it's very difficult to predict Bitcoin, 10 years out or 5 years out, So we don't know at that point in time if this bubble, maybe there's a new technology that comes out that just kind of completely wipes out cryptocurrency in 20 years. But that's good news for us because we witnessed this first bubble and we're kind of on the cutting edge of cryptocurrency. We haven't hit that mainstream bubble yet. Yeah, people are talking about it, but no one was using it. They were just buying Bitcoin to hold Bitcoin and make money. In the future, when we have our next big bubble, prices will skyrocket just like they did here. And we're going to need to be aware of this happening. And you need to be aware of the technology that's out at the current state when it does reach these projected, 50K or 100K price evaluations. Take some profits, don't be afraid to take profits, because if some new groundbreaking technology comes out and starts, wiping out different cryptocurrencies, or quantum computing starts being able to hack blockchains, or whatever the case may be, this is good news because we're still on the cutting edge. If you believe these people and these highly noted hedge fund managers and all these crazy people leaving major firms and going to Coinbase and freaking all these crypto, Ripple, a lot of big CEOs have left and gone to Ripple and Coinbase. And when you're seeing this stuff, then you can kind of get a bigger picture and we'll know when to take profits the next time. So this was another article that I'll just read right before I end this video. So hedge fund, Oxif exec leaves Wall Street to become Coinbase CFO. So basically, Elisa Haas has worked at Oz Management for a year and a half, previously working in executive roles at One West Bank and Merrill Lynch. So Coinbase president and COO, Azif Harij, I totally butchered that name, so I apologize, but he wrote in the company's blog post that Haas will begin at Coinbase immediately, but will also stay at Oz Management for the traditional period until June 1st. So this is really good news. Like, more big name, high C-suite executives are moving over into the crypto space. And this is all bullish news, feeding right back into our next sort of wave of where Bitcoin could be going. Now, does that mean Bitcoin won't drop again to 6K? I don't know. In a short term, with the markets where they are right now, it's hard to decide. So that's kind of why it's kind of a no trade zone for me at this point. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I hope this was helpful.